we tend to think as human beings that there is a choice and that I am going to use this medicine to help me. We would say the potency in relationship really comes when you realize that the chamomile is equally curious about becoming you. So in other words, when Randi's not thinking, she grabs a cup of chamomile, a box of chamomile tea at Hopi & Co. because it's on sale. When she does that, what is actually more appropriately happening in an expanded dimension is the chamomile is curious about becoming Randi. So she thinks she's grabbing something. She's not thinking that much about it. She's thinking from rote and routine. But what is happening on a grander level is that chamomile tea, even if it's discounted in the discount aisle, is screaming out at her. And she may not be aware of it while she's shopping because she's very much in the 3D. She's seeing what's around. She's using her left brain, yada, yada, yada. But we would say in the wider dimensional access, that chamomile is singling her out, and every other box of chamomile behind it is singling out the person that grabs it. We would say it's true of the flowers that you plant or the flowers that come to you and you then make a tea out of. So we want to start with the tea because we would say it's the same with the marijuana plant, with the mushrooms. It's the same with all of these plants that bring you, as Sammy said, into a wide, expansive experience, a dimensional familiarity that many of us enjoy, but it almost blows your mind, right? Appropriately so. We do it and we enjoy it because it blows our mind. So we would say that remember, and that we're repeating this from the workshop that we did on food. Remember that there is an intentionality. Just because a flower doesn't speak your language verbally doesn't mean there isn't a very potent soul contract happening between you two. So even when you come to taking a puff from the pipe for marijuana or taking the mushrooms, there is just as much curiosity from the cannabis, from the mushrooms, and how it is to become you. So there are different types of soul contracts in the same way that the chamomile may not rock your world, but we would say, especially after integrating the information that we do here, the process of opening our minds to how deep these relationships can go, your next cup of chamomile tea may be a bigger trip than you've ever had before because you're opening to the world, to a deep, we would say, symbiotic relationship between the chamomile plant and you. The same way that there's an opportunity for you to ingest a mind-blowing, we'll call it that, mind-expanding plant medicine, and for it to get just as much mind-blowing experience by becoming you. So in other words, the chamomile is curious. It's ingested. It becomes your body, your cells, your being. And then it has it in the consciousness that is chamomile. It has an experience of your body. It offers a gift, and you offer the gift of what it is to be you while drinking that. It might watch a movie or read a book if that was your old rote routine. But as you start to expand your awareness, you may not be able to focus on reading a book or watching that movie because the chamomile may be so present in your own expanded awareness that you are way too fascinated in having a conversation. You may only be able to be present with this cup of tea before you. So we know that means, well, what I can't, well, that changes me. Yes, that changes you. So in other words, you have an opportunity to become so deeply present with the plants. So for example, Randi was taking her phone out. She was trying to catch up. She's been out camping over the weekend. She had a lot of text messages. She's prepping for this workshop, and if you will, while she's eating her dinner. And it becomes difficult for her to eat something and look at the phone and dismiss the fact that she's sitting outside and there's an amazing array of conversations happening for her just in the trees and in the soil underneath her and in the insects that are visiting her. So what starts to happen is she can't have the phone with her and still have the energetic exchange of the kidney beans in her meal, or the zucchini that she just took from the garden and cut up and put in her meal. There are conversations and soul contracts that are vying for her attention, because they are saying, let's talk as I become you. Let's really understand the energy that we are sharing here. I am not just something you grew and something that's going to become your body. I am in curiosity about you. So, yes, this changes our lives. Yes, this means that we can't check out and do as many things as we used to be able to do. And we could call it a third dimensional sense, but we would also just say that it is a sense where we were prioritizing other things over the plants as a cultural norm. And that is changing. Okay. So we want to go a little bit to what happens with the mind expanding experiences, because we like what Stacy said, that it doesn't have to be something that blows our mind. We can have our mind blown through a cup of chamomile tea or through a kidney bean. Yes. So we want to just say that on that level, as you are assimilating, growing, assimilate, grow, assimilate, grow, assimilate, grow, assimilate, that the chamomile, which is a little more subtle, if you will, starts to become as mind-blowing or deeply in relationship with you as, say, Randi's ingesting of the shamanic tobacco or the tobacco. So what we are offering here is that some medicines, just like people, you can have a very intense, whether it's through joy or whether it's through challenge, you can have an intense soul contract with somebody, shared chakra of energy between them, and you grow like that. You get into an accident, you become broke, you have a heartache. There are ways to do growth intensely, and there are ways to do growth subtly. Chamomile cup of tea versus snorting, if you will, hape tobacco. So we're wanting to offer that anything that grows you is opening you to its greater vantage. And so the thing that happens when one becomes curious and is in alignment, and as a few of you all said, it starts to show up. When something starts to show up, it's so curious about you. It's so curious about you that it is lining up as a soul contract. Now, you have free will that we would say is your focused frequency. Am I going to engage in that soul contract on a third dimensional level or on an integrative physical level? Or am I going to go into this parallel reality where I don't? But what happens with the mind-blowing plant medicines is that they come up against the limitations, the social limitations, yes, that we spoke about. There's guilt, there's shame, there's a sense of needing to hide it. There's a sense of, even Randi says that she has been doing a lot of different plant medicines, more than she ever has in her life. And she speaks about it, but she has to push against herself to speak about it. What if there's judgment? Oh no, there's addiction. And we want to speak about addiction as well. There are all these shadows that the plant medicines themselves are so curious about the human shadows. They want to boogie with you. They want to talk to you. They want to go in and say, check out our world. We have a really hard time imagining what you are in your shadows. So let's play with the shadows. We want to know what it is to have a human shadow, because we don't. So in other words, they are great facilitators for great growth that you can go, wow. Or if you're not ready for it, you can go, So in other words, it's going to depend on your alignment to that soul contract. And just like you can pick it up from the store, drink a cup, read a book, and not be conscious to the soul contract of what's happening between you and your chamomile tea, you can ingest these medicines, get into an addictive loop where it helps you settle, helps you soften. you become dependent on it, and it's like drinking the tea. You are simply bypassing a deeper, more expansive and diverse relationship with Mother Earth.